Okay, welcome. We're on.
Welcome. Yeah, we're on.
Hi, everybody.
Little Oak Weekly. We're back.
It's Little Oak. This one's Little Oak Monthly.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's been.
It's been a couple weeks for sure.
At least a couple.
Yep.
The people that are keeping tabs will be like, it's been 4, not a couple.
I don't think it's quite 4, but we're back anyway.
We actually have people, I've had agents call me who are not in our brokerage.
Yeah.
But this is available publicly because we put it on channel, like, Spotify,
Spotify,
Apple, whatever. We have agents following us, enjoying this content, who have phoned me and said, when are you putting out another episode?
Nice.
So we're doing something right.
Yeah, you get notifications if you're with Little Oak, but
if you signed up.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if you're, yeah, that's right. Well, no, but you can even get notified if you follow the channel on Spotify or
and
Apple.
It's everywhere. You just get it first on.
Anyways, screw those people. We're doing this for you. We're doing this for Little Oak and North Star people, but we are on public channels, which is why I kind of have to watch what I say sometimes.
You don't usually, though. I
don't usually, but whatever. It is what it is. So welcome. Just finished doing farming neighborhoods successfully to generate revenue.
Did a training session this morning.
Yeah, it's recorded. I think you said you already.
It's already on the wants and haves. Yep.
It's already on wants and haves. I think it went really well.
It went well, yeah. The whole thing's
value
on there, so you can watch through. I think we might be adding the slideshow. People asked for it, so maybe I'll get a copy of the.
Oh yeah, you
the
probably
slides.
Okay, I'll send that to you.
Yeah, so we'll get that added to the wants and haves as well. And if you don't have access to the wants and haves, you can get access to it through any of us. And if you're not a Little Oak agent, then join littleoak.com. That's where you'll find more information.
That's right. Begs the question, why are you not a Little Oak or North Star agent? But whatever.
It's coming.
It's another.
It's coming.
Yeah, slowly being pulled into the abyss.
That's right.
So yeah, that was really great. I'll do a brief little
recap,
summary or teaser or recap, but we've talked.
I like that you did this. I'm just pointing to Andrew where he pointed out his personal experience at the end. I think that was really good to show just from your own
substantiates. Yeah. It's actually, so I've always tracked my numbers doing it, but I've actually never, this is the first time I looked at it in totality.
It's pretty impressive.
It is. Yeah. So, over we took a 10-year period. I've actually farmed this particular neighborhood for 12 years, but we took 2014, I started in 2013, but we took 2014 to 2024, the results were 51 transactions. So an average of 5.1 transactions per year in the neighborhood.
Yep.
I've had some years where I've had 2, some years where I've had 7, whatever. Total cost to farm the neighborhood in that time was $112,500. So 12 grand a year, right?
Yeah.
What that works out to? Or 11 grand a year.
Yep.
And it's actually, I said over 1.2 million in revenue. It's actually 1.245, I think, is the total revenue.
Right.
So it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's crazy.
100 grand. It's $100,000 a year revenue stream. And I'm spending essentially 1/10 of that.
Yep.
Now, obviously if you said to anybody, hey, if you give me $1, I'm going to give you $10, everyone would be, sign me up. But it takes years. This is a long game thing. Not that different than database farming, right? Like everything that's worthwhile doing is a long game thing. There's very few strategies in this industry where you can say like, well, spend the money today, get the reward tomorrow.
Yeah.
There are some, but it's hard, particularly hard in a market like this. So yeah, it is, I put this right next to, database farming, if you want to call that, having a proper database strategy and plan would be my number 1 priority. Number 2 priority, in my opinion, would be farming.
Has it always been your number 2?
Since 2013. I mean, I didn't do it before that. I've been in it. So for 10 years, from 2003 to 2013, I never farmed a neighborhood. And the concept, I was always aware of it, but the concept, I don't know why I didn't do it. Whatever. Learning, young, didn't know any better. The industry's evolved too. Like, so, there was a time, particularly in the early 2000s, where things like door knocking and open houses were easier.
Yeah.
In a non-digital world where people couldn't access information and they had to physically come to a show home or an open house to get information, like that, I think was a very, very valuable tool. It's still a valuable tool today, but I feel like neighborhood farm marketing is something where you can consistently drive substantial revenue with a proper plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so, evidenced by the fact that I've done it, and there's other people that have done it very, very well in the Lower Mainland. I know some of them and have dialogued with some of these people over the years. So everyone's got different techniques or strategies, but it all, no matter who you talk to, the commonality you'll find is consistency, certain amounts of touches, and then layering of touches, which we spent a lot of time talking about today, which is really, this is not a real estate principle. This is a marketing principle. You can go into any industry. And actually, even in preparation for today's session, I looked at some other industries online just in terms of their philosophies around marketing. And it's all the same stuff. It's, you cannot, if you have, whatever, if you sell doors and windows in the Lower Mainland and you want to, have your marketing plan drive revenue, it's best if you're targeting particular people groups and you're hitting these people in multiple layered ways.
Right.
So it's not just the highway sign. If you have a highway sign at whatever, the 232nd exit in Langley, that's best combined with going, okay, what else in that area with those same people? What other ways can I find them and be in front of them?
Right.
So we can apply those strategies in neighborhood farm marketing with other layering techniques like school parent-teacher advisory committees, park boards, volunteer stuff, running events in the community Facebook pages. Like, these are all ways to be hitting subconsciously the same group who's getting your flyers. Bus benches. We talked about bus benches. Like, bus benches, I think, can be an absolute colossal waste of money.
Yeah.
And they can also be incredibly high value. If you are farming a neighborhood of 500 or 600 homes and that neighborhood has a couple schools and you're involved to some degree in the schools, maybe you're sponsoring some sports teams, and you happen to buy 2 or 3 bus benches that are right in the neighborhood where people are driving by, dropping their kids off. Like, that's unbelievable.
Right.
That works incredible. It's terrible if you just buy a bus bench and do nothing else.
Yep.
I find realtors, I don't know if this is true, but this is what I think is true. I think realtors buy bus benches in the routes that they drive because they want to see their faces.
See their face. Mm-hmm.
Like, this is where they drive. Sure. And not to say that's all wasted dollars, but if it's not layered with other touches on those people who are driving by, it's not going to work.
You might have mentioned it, but I might have missed it when you were talking about it. But in your area, in your experience of where you farmed, do you have an example of what one of those secondary things, those other layers are that you're doing?
That I did?
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't paying attention.
I probably, dude, sorry, man, I was there. But
unbelievable. So one of the things I mentioned was in the particular neighborhood that what I did and did for a long time, I knew that in this neighborhood, a lot of the people who lived there were very interested in a particular nonprofit organization.
Okay.
So I got involved with that nonprofit organization.
Okay.
Not just out of the goodness of my own heart. I mean, it was a great organization that I believe, I was with them for 10 years. So I sponsored those events every year. I was, involved with their board, not like on the board, but like kind of like an advisory to the board thing. And then you go to different events throughout the year, right? And then now those people see you at the event, they know you're involved, they know you're giving, they see your face at the door, know. And then the other thing that I've done, I've not done this consistently. I don't want to say I've done this every year. There's other agents who I know who have done things like this every year. So I know it works really well, is you do a community event like at the local park or at the local schoolyard, Saturday, Sunday afternoon. I love this one because it's cheap. But a pumpkin giveaway in the fall, you literally get a flatbed truck, put 1,000 pumpkins on the truck, which are dirt cheap. Buy them from your local, whatever, advertise on a piece that you send out in the months leading up, put up a tent, whatever, maybe have some ice cream, balloons, whatever you want. It's like, come by for 3 hours on this day. I'm there. Come get your free pumpkin.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's like, and I know someone who's done that like for probably 10 years, year after year. And it's like, it's unbelievable. Just another layering impact, right?
Cool.
Yeah. So that's what we talked about today.
Cool.
And it's great. Like, I put this in terms like very high value in terms of, if you're choosing revenue streams and you're thinking big picture, what I want to do for the next 10, 15 years of my career, the data is in. You can. When
you did it, did you start, like you talked about when you broke it down, like your costs or whatever, but was your cost smaller as you started?
Oh yeah.
Like it had to have been, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I did what I broke down for everybody today in the session. Like, these are like I made sure that I almost overinflated the cost because I didn't want to give people like not real numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is you can do it on the cheap if you're willing to, use your own labor instead of hire labor out.
Yep.
And then you just have to be creative about things that are free. So like an example would be like a Facebook community page. What does that cost you?
Mm-hmm.
Like very little, not nothing.
Yeah.
Time. You got to do it. You got to create content. You got to be in touch with it, manage it, whatever. But like there's people in all of our communities. We can think of these groups, right? Like I can think of groups that I'm aware of that are managed by realtors.
Yeah, I'm in one of them.
100%. And they're unreal.
They do great.
I know one guy in particular who gets business out of that group all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost money to set it takes time.
Sure.
So that I've never done that, but if I was starting today, I think I would do that. I think I would try to.
You would be good at it, but
no, I would suck at it.
But it's true. It is.
I'm not that's not my thing.
Yeah, you'd have somebody do it for you.
Yeah, have somebody do it for me, and I might get canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be. Anytime you do anything online, you gotta be clean. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a filter.
Yeah.
Have somebody it goes through.
I don't like having a filter.
I know.
Okay. So that was that. So we did that today. Check it out. Watch it. We can do I don't know. I don't want to say how to do a follow-up session. I don't really need a follow-up session, but if you want to do this, feel free, put your plan together, plan it, reach out to me. I'm happy to give my comments.
Yeah.
On it. Oh, the other thing that's worthwhile saying, Dave Kirkwood asked a good question, or maybe it wasn't Dave, Damien. Somebody said designing the pieces, because I showed everybody and that's all in the deck that everyone will get. But I've got my pieces in there that I've used, and there's my thought processes were in the session on what to do and what not to do. So make sure you watch the session.
Yep.
Don't just call me, watch the session first, then call me. But we have lend a hand, Debbie Roberts, who's an administrative assistant available by the hour to all of our people, which I never had when I started. I mean, I worked with the print shop and designing and paid them whatever the frick they're worth on an hourly basis.
Yep.
But you can utilize Debbie for cheap. If it takes her half an hour or 45 minutes to do something, you'll spend very little dollars to get something done. And then once you have your templates,
then that's it.
You're good to go. So this is not an expensive process to go through.
Yeah. I like that you talked about too, keeping it the same. And I think consistency is obviously the key with this type of thing. Yeah,
16 to 20 drops a year is kind of the number that I say you should shoot for.
And not just once.
No, you got it. There's so many stories of people. I know agents that I've talked to over the years where it's they started it and they gave it up 6 months in.
Return or something.
Well, and this is why companies in general, not just realtors, but businesses in general, they stop initiatives because they didn't think through or they weren't planning on the capital that it required to see it through to the point of return. Once we start to get returns, you don't have to twist anyone's arm to keep going because they go, oh yeah, shoot, look at this, is amazing.
Yep.
You have to go in with the right mindset. You have to budget for it. Everything in life worth doing costs money, just the way it is. And do not drop it after 6 months, even 12 months. The plan should be, no matter what, you run something for 18 months. If you don't have any return after 18 months, it's probably because you're not doing it. You're missing something. You're not layering with touches. Your pieces aren't well thought out. They're not it's not the right content in the pieces. There's just too much data to show that this works. It's not just my opinion. There's lots of people who've done it successfully for years. So it's probably user error or design, not that, it doesn't work, I'm giving it up.
Sweet. Yeah, it's good.
That's that. What else?
Well, I got some stuff.
Do you want to jump to that, or do you want me to? I don't.
I don't remember our order.
I mean, well, we want to talk about office meetings. Okay, we'll do one more thing, and then we'll jump to whatever.
The office meeting is a good one to bring up. Our upcoming office meetings, because those will be next week. Because this is coming up today. Look at you, just
water and coffee. Well, I've talked for an hour and a half, so my throat's gone. So this is going to drop in a day or two today. So then we'll talk about office meeting next week and the week after, 2 office meetings a month, right? That's what we're doing. So we've started packing more high value training into the office meetings. So we're now, you can expect half of the office meeting to be recap of the month, stats, data,
updates, things that are coming.
And like, what's the crap I'm trying to, regulatory garbage, the
Illegal,
kind of stuff that David gets excited about. Sorry, David.
There he is.
Oh, he's looking at me right now. I'm recording. Go away. And then the last half will be high value training sessions, because we know trying to get people out to other sessions is tough.
Yes.
So this coming 2 office meetings, we are doing, it's a stats.
I even got the title for it.
Oh, what is it? Tell me the title again.
From data to, you don't know this. From data to dialogue.
There it is.
Making real estate stats work for you.
Right.
That's the idea, though. It's just going more high level on understanding how to use stats. But I was talking to an agent a couple days ago. It's not even just understanding them, but knowing how to speak about them, how to give authority to those
Therein lies the challenge in life, right? We can know the data, but how do we take the truth, put it into the cookie, and make it edible in a way that people can understand it? Yeah. And so we're all struggling with this right now. Markets are tough. Like, it's always hard when things are changing. When things are static, it's easy, because when it's static, I'll take 2010, 11, 12 as an example. We had been through the financial crisis. The market had gone to crap.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had these like flat run of years. That was easy.
Right.
Because every home you went into, every conversation you had, you didn't have to convince someone of what the market was. This is what it is.
Right.
Sorry. And so you weren't the one breaking the narrative, going like, no, trust me, this is what we're in now. Everyone knew it. Then, so that was easy. Right now, we're in like the equivalent of like, we've gone through a tough year, but not everyone has quite wrapped their head around where we are. And so how do you utilize stats and data to show people the true narrative and ultimately convince buyers and sellers to accept the truth and transact at today's norms, values,
mm-hmm.
and then find the opportunity for both buyers and sellers in today's narrative? That's really what we're going to do.
Yep.
On
both sessions.
Wednesday and Wednesday.
Yeah. Sweet.
So high value. There you go.
Yeah.
And then last but certainly not least, so this time last year we ran a we've run sales contests many years, but we're doing it again. So sales contest is actually started as of today. People just don't know it.
You're okay.
But yeah, April 1.
Yep.
Sales contest started.
When's it running?
We'll give everyone the details in the April meetings coming up.
I'm sure they'll be in the meetings. Yeah. Next week.
Oh yeah. We'll give everyone the details. And so it gives everybody an opportunity on a monthly basis to win some fun, cool prizes. And then there's a grand prize. I think we give that out in June, and we'll do some kind of a gathering like we did the winery last year. Yep. So there we go. We're into sales contest season. So it'll be like, listings and accepted offers and things like that. We'll get you points, get your name into draws, and,
we'll have info coming out probably this week or next week.
Yeah. Monthly winners and overall winners.
Sweet.
Yep.
Fun.
Okay, what do you got?
Are you ready? So I'm
ready. What are we doing? I don't even know what this is.
I'm randomly just bringing up stuff that I talk to agents about.
Okay.
And I don't know where it's going to go with some of them.
All right.
So we'll see.
Do we get names or is it
I could let you
maybe don't give me names.
You figure out the name from some of them.
That's amazing.
So we have an election obviously coming up.
We're going to talk about politics.
Yeah, I actually said to this agent, I was like, I'm nervous to bring up politics. Andrew can run.
I believe I was quoted last office meeting as saying I would punch someone in the throat if they blame Trump one more time so.
We're going to stick with Canadian politics on this one.
They're so intertwined, but here we go.
I know they are. Okay, so I guess it's just sort of I don't know how you're going to do this. It's more of a comparison, but what does the next 4 years look like in real estate based on which party wins in our upcoming election?
Okay.
I know, right?
Wow.
This one. So that's the topic.
Okay.
Is what does the next 4 years look like? How do they compare?
Just my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Andrew said this before, have an opinion, stick to it, and you can be wrong.
And you know what? With no preparation, I have an opinion on this.
Yeah.
And I actually have discussed this with clients. So here we go. Caveat is my opinion. Might not be accurate, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to be accurate. You have to have an opinion. That's what I've said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's my opinion. So probably full disclosure, not that anyone wouldn't know this about me, whatever. I'm voting conservative 100%. And if you want to have a conversation as to why that would be, I mean, I'm happy to have that, but I will 100% be voting conservative. And it's also worth mentioning that I have not voted conservative my entire life. I voted for Trudeau in 2015. Now, in retrospect, do I wish I had done that? Probably not. But I don't approach it's not like I come at this going like, I bleed blue no matter what.
Yeah.
I think through all of the issues, and I would say that I am fiscally conservative, socially left. I'm not like way left, but I'm left of center.
I'm the same.
So socially. So it's not even like I totally always agree with the conservatives on every social issue, but in terms of the hierarchy and the way I think through things, fiscal responsibility, number one on my charts, no matter what, always. You can't spend money that you don't have, and everything else breaks down if you do. So all the other programs that you want to have and all that, I believe doesn't work unless you can pay for everything you want to do. So anyways, here's where Andrew's coming from in terms of the conversation. I believe that actually the best short-term solution to our particular job would more than likely be the Liberals. I think that would be a detriment to the long-term future of the real estate market. But I think we have enough evidence historically to show that when we are in recessions or challenging times, the Liberals are not afraid of economic stimulus packages and incentivizing people to do things, printing money, and just manufacturing an economy with our tax dollars.
Right.
So I actually think in the short term, if we had a Liberal win in 3 weeks or whatever that was, and we were to be able to go through both scenarios and compare them, I think short term market takes off quicker with the Liberals because the Conservatives are going to bring a different philosophy to the table. They're going to cut spending. They would not be as likely to stimulate the economy artificially. They would, in my opinion, get back to basics of, cutting taxes on small and medium-sized business, trying to stimulate economic growth through the private sector, and have the job and the rest of the job market and the rest of the markets catch up to the inflationary cycle that's been created over the last 5, 6, 7 years. We're not undoing what we did. It is impossible to undo what we did. In fact, if you go back a few years, you can remember everyone screaming, we need to make housing more affordable. Well, guess what? The world doesn't like that. We've just had the market correct. And what happens when the market corrects drastically? It sounds really good in a quote in a news article in 2022. It's incredibly painful. You can't just take a condo in Yaletown that was 1.4 million and make it worth 900. Not to mention 900 is not even affordable anyway. The people who want affordable housing don't want a condo for 900. They want it for 300. Yeah. That's never happening. And if we did that, we would literally decimate the economy and the world as we know it. So we're not going backwards. Prices are only, what we hope to do is control price growth in a measured way and not go through exponential inflation like we did. But what we need to do now is we need to have the standard of living in our Canadian economy rise to catch up with the cost of living. And I believe that is the Conservative government approach. They want to re-engage small and medium business, give them courage and confidence to reinvest and grow businesses in the economy so that we can have business growth and ultimately wage growth. That takes time. That doesn't happen quickly. So I think that the real estate market would be slower to react in a Conservative government, faster to react in a Liberal government, because Liberals, or NDP for that matter, will and are not afraid of government spending and incentives to get a quicker return on what they want. And while they wouldn't be doing it to stimulate the real estate market, anytime you create any type of stimulus package or lowering of, debt cost or anything like that, lending cost, a trickle-down effect is a quick stimulation to the real estate market. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I think that was great.
So I'm saying, I'm voting Conservative, and I'm knowingly assuming that is not making my job easier in the short term. I think that is the best long-term plan for our country's stability and long-term economic growth.
There was a question that also came up, and I don't know a ton of it. I know there was chat about it, but it was the talk of a capital gains deferral that the Conservatives were talking about. I think the question that I had from an agent was when talking to people about holding off until they wait for the election, do things change after the election? Like how should they be broaching that topic? I guess it's come up with an agent with a particular seller.
Okay. So what we have right now, like we're 3 weeks from an election.
Yeah.
So nobody's doing something in the next 3 because it's so close. It's similar to like when you know that there's like a Bank of Canada rate announcement or something huge coming down the line, you get these like frozen moments where people wait. So that is what we've been stuck in for months,
time,
without a proper government, with a whatever de facto leader who's now the leader of our country, who's never been in an election. We're stuck. Everyone's waiting. We've been there for months. And so now that we're 3 weeks away, big decisions like this, whether it's a homeowner or a business owner or whatever, people are going to wait till election. Now, the thing is even getting to an election doesn't mean you immediately get into the House of Commons and have new law right away. I mean, now, if it's whether it's the Liberals or the Conservatives, you'll have a bunch of, like right now we're getting a bunch of lip service from both sides, right? This is what we're going to do. But all of this stuff has to be put into a budget, ratified through, our system and brought into law. Now, some things can happen immediately, but most things take time. But therein is that's the proof very much in what, I'm talking about here, and we can use the tariff example too. Like, it's not like we've had something significantly change in the last few months. People are frozen here, not take tariffs. Have we had an increased cost in any substantial way as a result of tariffs? No, nobody has. But because we've been talking about it for a few months, people freeze. So now we're going to get through an election. We're not going to have anything practically happen right away.
Right.
But if we get unfrozen and unstuck, because now there's more consumer confidence, because we hear about things like tax cuts or small business incentive, or, we're going to be finally getting pipelines across this country, hopefully, or be able to sell some of our assets to more than one trading partner, like all of these things. If we know that's on the table, then that can deliver consumer confidence and consumers can start transacting, even though practically speaking, maybe nothing's been delivered.
Right.
The change is here, and then they start to move. Practically speaking, we've got no ramifications of tariffs yet, but somehow we've been frozen. Well, that's because it's all here.
Right. All right, let's go away from politics for a minute.
Really? I was having so much fun.
I told them that we would run with it. You would run with it. I'm just going to rattle some of these off because I think they're good. Appropriate pricing and the impact that has on the experience with your seller.
Appropriate pricing and the impact. So can you?
Well, I don't know much else to it except that, but maybe they're talking about appropriate pricing. I feel like we've maybe talked about this before, but like how you're dealing with a seller when you know the pricing is not where they want it to be.
Right. So you're delivering the bad news.
Essentially, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, there isn't always a bow that you can put at the end. Like, it's not always clean and nice, right? Like, the reality is when you're delivering bad news, sometimes it's just that. It's bad news. But the bad news needs to be delivered with all kinds of story and data to substantiate the bad news, which is why we've got to have a clear understanding of the data. And then I often say, you got to tell the story of the market, where you go back years and you show them, your home used to be worth this. Can we all agree on that? And nobody will deny that, right? They'll go, yeah, I remember when my home was worth 1.6 million. Okay, great. We agree on that. So now let's look at the story of the market from that time. What does the data teach us? And you got to be able to use all the tools we have to show the dip in the market, drop in transactions, the new sales that substantiate new values. Here's where we fit in today based on this story. And then if there's objections to that, and, just using those same numbers, well, I think my home's worth 1.4 and maybe there's no good reason for it. Well, okay, that's fine. So if a home was worth 1.4 today, then that means we must believe that back then it was worth 1.8.
Right.
because we know we can't argue with the 22% price correction,
Right.
give or take. So I can get on side with that if we can go back in time and substantiate the 1.18.
Right.
If we can find the 1.8 in the story, I'm totally on side. But if we can't find the 1.8 and we can only find the 1.6, well, then we're probably worth 1.2,
Yep.
not 1.4. And then, that doesn't solve it. That's still maybe disappointing. And then from there, it usually spirals into one of two things. Like sometimes it's, well, we're selling and buying.
Mhm.
Well, great. Here's the good news to the story. We're buying and selling in the same market.
Yep.
And, you didn't show the win of the buy,
Yeah.
right? And how we're also buying in the same market. Sometimes that solves the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Other times it's, no, we're just selling. Well, it kind of sucks if you're only selling.
Are you telling people, are you having conversations where you're just saying just don't sell?
Very few,
Yeah.
because so let's talk about why would people just be selling? So they're just selling because of death. Well, don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Divorce. Don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, you do maybe, but usually not. Job loss, there's a driver where it's like, it's happening.
Reason why, yeah.
So sorry, but here's the other thing. So you're selling the asset at a lower point in the market than you would have liked. Whatever you're doing, let's pretend you're not buying. You are still, in most cases, maybe not all cases, but in most cases, you're taking some level of capital out.
Yep.
And you're going to do something with that capital. What are you going to do with that capital? Because now you're taking that capital out at a low point in the market. Maybe you're able to reinvest some or all of that capital at another low point in the market,
Right.
whether it's real estate or something
Yep.
else. The conversation always has to be had with the yin and the yang.
Yeah. That makes sense.
As a seller, when you're taking a loss on anything, it's easy to focus just on the yin,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, shitty, this sucks. Well, no. There's
You
a
gotta find that
gang.
win.
You got to find, yeah. And for the vast majority of people, that is a part of the story.
Yeah.
There's something happening. You're either buying another property, you're taking the capital out. Why are you taking it? Well, we're downsizing. Okay, well, why are you downsizing? What do you do? Well, we want to take some of our money and want to help our kid buy. Oh, okay. Thank you. So we're helping the kid buy at a low point in the market. Or we're pulling out of the real estate market. We're downsizing. We're moving somewhere for a retirement thing. And the rest of our money is going into our RSPs or whatever. Well, okay, great. Let's work with your financial advisor. Make sure that your money goes in at a low point in the market in whatever you're choosing to put your money into.
Smart.
Then there's the small percentage of the time where there isn't a perceived win because like, well, I'm selling because I have to sell and I have no equity left and I'm just taking a bath.
Right.
Well, okay. If you can hold on and not sell, then maybe don't sell now. Or maybe is just shitty.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
But that's not
what it is.
the majority.
And then sometimes that spills into, well, okay, Andrew, you're only telling me it's worth 1.2, but I really want to try for 1.3 or whatever. Fine. I mean, if we can agree on the facts and say, this is what we believe to be true. And nobody's like, hiding their head in the sand. I really want to try for this number. Okay. For how long? What data do we need to collect from the market until we go, okay,
it's not working.
We're not doing this and we're just hurting ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm in those scenarios. I have those scenarios all the time where like I bring something to market, not necessarily at the price I would have suggested.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I can be wrong. Sometimes you get a number where it's like, oh crap, I didn't think I was going to get that. And you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Other times it's just, okay, well, we need to be in the market for 2, 3, 4 weeks to get real-time data. And that's the thing that helps the homeowner come to the point of, okay, we got to go to this number.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
New agent. How would you suggest or recommend to an agent to deal with rejection? You've been doing it a long time, so it's probably not as big a deal, but for a new agent, that obviously hurts.
Pills. Yeah.
What's your suggestion to them?
Man, it's a good question. It's a psychological question. Be grounded. It's going to sound I don't mean this to sound so hoity-toity, but be grounded in a truth that you cling on to. And so this can be found in books, in mentorship and training, in situations, in these kinds of things. Because we will question ourselves. We all question ourselves all the time, but like when you're new and you're facing rejection and, you feel like you're swimming against the tide, these are these moments where we get rejected. These can throw us off course and cause us to make dumb decisions. You know, you start reaching and grasping at straws, or we start questioning the process. And, you know, I like golf. And so, you know, in the golfing world, when you're trying to achieve something and, you know, you're going through swing changes, common terminology is, you know, you focus on the process, not the result. And so I've gone through that. Like, I've hired coaches. I've tried to get better at the game. And ironically enough, when you are trying to grow or change something, it gets worse before it gets better.
Right.
And then you can start to question, right? You got to focus on the process. So the process, the truth behind the process is what you need to cling to. So whoever the guru is, the books are, the things that you believe to be true, the things that caused you to get into the business, the people that caused you to get into the business, those are the things that need to drive and continue to drive the narrative in your brain. And it's a fight, right? Like, it's not like every day, it's a fight. Some days you wake up and it's like, I hate myself. I hate this business. I question this guru. I question this book. Oh, this worked for him. It's not going to work for me. Oh, this guy started 20 years ago. He's not starting today. Like, all kinds of things.
Sure.
Right.
You find excuses for
find
anything.
excuses. And sometimes, you know, there's some things, books we've read, people we've listened to, where you say, well, it isn't quite as up to date. You know, maybe it would be different today. Eventually my ideas will age out, right? Eventually, maybe.
At some point.
Maybe. But you gotta hang on to, first find that thing or those things that are going to be your North Stars. And then in those moments, you just, by default, you just trust and go back to those. And of course, it helps to be surrounded with accountability and friends and people who believe the things you believe, being in the right brokerage, all that kind of stuff. But you're going to face rejection, and you can't let the rejection take you off your path. You have to decide in advance, what is my path? What do I believe? What am I going to do? What type of agent do I want to become? What are the things that I want to be me? And then just go with it. And the thing about this industry is, like, the data is right in front of us. Roughly speaking, I think it's 80% of agents are out of the business within the first 2 years.
Wow.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, we don't have that data in our brokerage, because our brokerage is a microcosm of the market. And our brokerage, you know, we have way higher performers, and we don't take on a lot of brand new agents, because a lot of brand new agents, when they come to us, we're not the right fit. And self-admittedly, we're not the right fit for somebody who wants to, you know, not take the business as seriously as we want them to take it. So we don't have those data within our brokerage, but the data, that is the data within the entire market. And the reason why the drop-off rate is 80% is because of rejection, because the business is tough. And then we get told we're not enough, or we're not the right fit, or someone's better. And then what do? You
start to believe it.
You believe it. And then you're gone. And, you know, and some of it is just like financial staying power, right? Because anyone who's started in this business, I mean, we've got some guys in our office. I mean, ask Logan Campman, Kurt Dirksen, Chantel Clausen, Jeffrey Clausen. Like, you go, you know, Andreas, like, ask, these guys have all started with us when they were young, and they ground out the first few years. And I mean, it's brutal.
It's tough.
And then you catch, and then now you go.
Awesome. Okay. Do you do monthly email or reach out to your clients? Is it monthly? You do?
It's not quite monthly.
Okay,
it's like I send, it's about 8
per year,
a year, that includes like my New Year message, Christmas message.
So that's included in the 8?
In the 8, I touch them with, it's probably 9. I touch them with a touch, and let's say 9 times a year. And there's some of them are just market updates. Some of them there's a point to it. It's like, hey, I'm giving you this for free.
So that was part of the question, is how are you coming up with that stuff for your sphere touches, your email stuff? Like, what are you using? Because you're obviously not doing the same thing 8 times, and you're probably not even copying necessarily the same thing in the second year or the third year or whatever. So like, what are you using to come up with that? Outside of the generic stuff, like obviously you do the Christmas and your other stuff, but outside of that.
Well, I mean, so I would say, like, if I was starting today, and things like turning on. Oh, there
Put
we
it in
go.
the position you want.
I just want it like that.
There you go.
Thank you. Commercial break.
Yeah, that's right. We're back.
It was moving and it was
I
throwing me
saw
off.
that, yeah.
If I was starting today, and by starting, I don't mean a brand new agent, like
Mhm.
starting, like I've just
Actually actively
never
reaching out.
talked to my database
Sure.
regularly.
Yeah.
Been in the business
That's
for
a
20,
lot of
been in the
agents.
business for 24 years, sold, umpteen properties, but never driven a database strategy. The first and most lowest level thing I would do is you can literally just do plug and play. What's it called? Client for life.
Oh yeah, the client for life roll page when you should have on anyway. It's super easy.
Well, but you don't want to have that on if you're doing something else, because now you're just spamming your people.
Well,
with
that's
too
only
much
once
stuff.
a month. That's the first Tuesday of each month.
I know, but I wouldn't be. I'm just saying. So I'm saying, like, you could literally just turn that on.
Yes, you could.
And you don't think about anything.
Yep.
And the thing is just like automated. It drives good, relatively local content with your name on it. It's like, it's coming from you and it's like you created it.
Yep.
So that's like the lowest
Easiest
threshold
thing to start. Mhm.
So at the very least, I would be doing that.
Yep.
But a lot of people go like, well, I don't like that because I want it to be more me and customized and whatever, which is fine. I agree with that. And that's what I do. But that's
you have
where
to do it though.
That's where the fall off point is. Because people say, well, I'm going to do it. And then they don't do it because it takes content creation.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is tough.
So the content creation, to the question of like, what do I do?
Yeah.
I always, every year, I've gotten into the habit of following the same theme. So thematically, I go like, there's a New Year message that goes out like never like January 1. It's always like second of January. Then there's a beginning. So that's like, a reflection on the past year, kind of like, thanks for being a loyal client. Love you guys. Here's what I see coming up in the following year, kind of thing. Then in the spring, like early spring, like, so I just had one go out, like it's like early to mid-March or something like that. It's always current events driven. So, but it is another market message, but kind of where I see opportunities or what's happening so in the one I did, there was a lot of talk about interest rates, right? And then, talking about like where opportunities lie in the marketplace as I see it.
So for that example,
and then there's always a call to action, right? It's always like, hey, if this sounds interesting to you,
let's talk.
Let's talk, whatever.
So, but for that example specifically, let's use that one. Obviously the content and the stuff you're talking about, you're coming up with relatively close to when you send it out, because you can't plan that in January and send it out in March. But
but if you don't want to do that, then you do the plug and play.
But let's say you do want to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you have something in place that says, okay, remind me in March, I need to send something out?
I have reminders in my calendar.
Yeah.
There's stuff in
so do you
in Royal LePage Sphere, which I've totally incorporated.
Do you go, I'm sending something?
100%. Okay. So when I'm doing my business planning in December, but like, don't be overwhelmed by this. Like if you're hearing this, you're going, well, I haven't done the business planning. It doesn't matter. Do it right now.
Anytime. Yeah.
Start it right now. I'm just saying, like, the flow I've got into was, in November, December is when I'm planning out the following year. And then yes, reminders go out. So like if I'm planning on sending something out on April the 25th, then there's a pop-up in the calendar on the first week of April that says, you've got this coming up. What are you doing?
Yep.
Right. And then it's like, okay, in my brain, check, go.
And then at that time, is that when you're coming up with something that's current?
Yeah. I'm looking at the landscape and going, okay, when's like currently it's like, all right, where does this line up with like Bank of Canada announcement dates? Maybe I don't want to do it on the 25th. Maybe I want to do it on the 20th, or maybe, you work around. There's an election now, right? So like, of course I'm going to be sending out, like, I'm going to send out an election one, like beginning of May.
For sure.
That wasn't on the plan, but I'm doing one this year. I'm just going to.
You mean after the election then?
I'm going to send one out like, probably like a week after the election. Because I'm going to let the election happen.
Yeah. And then
after the election, we're going to see all the shrapnel is going to fall in terms of whoever wins, what's coming down the pike.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be my interpretation of market reactions to the shrapnel.
Yep.
Right. So that's going to come out early May 2nd, 3rd week, like not right after. It's going to take time.
Yeah.
Right.
But that wouldn't have been one you had planned out ahead.
No, but I'm probably going to replace. So in my normal plan, it would have been the January, the March, and then I like to give like an item of value for the next one. And that item of value is like, for years I did tickets to the Home and Garden Show.
Do they reach out to you to get them? Is that how you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Totally. I've sent what's it called? Like seeds to plant things
Oh, cool.
in the mail. So there's not even, you're obviously not emailing seeds.
Yeah.
So you mail out a little card. Thanks, you're amazing. A little note about how, it's a metaphor of like, these seeds represent, what you mean to my business.
Cool.
As you go into spring and summer, whatever, and the sun comes out and things start to grow, please, whatever, plant these as you wish in your garden and know that, you're an important part of my garden. And
it's a great idea. And not expensive either.
That's like, I've done that one years ago. So like I could do that one again this year. And then in the summertime, there's one that I like to send out that is purely family focused. It's not like talking about real estate at all. It's like an update, like, hey, I hope you guys are enjoying your summer. Maybe some shots of me out at like Shuswap Lake or whatever. Love you guys. Hope you're doing great. Here's a few shots of experiences I've had with my kids and my wife over the summer, that kind of thing. And that's personal connection, right? All of these are different, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to be robots always talking about the market, because then you're just a robot. If someone feels a personal connection to you, that's an emotional tie that helps, right? So, cool. Balancing the content with, value, you want to show, market authority, then you also want to show people that you're a human.
Yeah. They're real.
And if you're human to people, over time, they're actually far less likely to bother you in evenings and weekends, because they stop and think, like, oh, Andrew is, I was in a meeting with some people this week. Mm-hmm. And then the thought came up, we need another meeting. And the gentleman goes, this just happened 2 days ago. The gentleman goes, what are you doing on, like, we're talking about the next meeting. He goes, what are you doing on Sunday? And I kind of like pause and hesitate, because like, I don't want to meet people on Sundays. And then the wife cuts in and she like scolds him. She goes, he doesn't want to meet us on a Sunday. He's got family and children, whatever. She goes, what are you doing Monday night? I went, Monday night's perfect.
Yeah.
But like, you train people over time to think about your entire life. If you talk to them about your entire life, if you only ever are the person who's like, call me anytime, I can sell anything anywhere all the time, well, then guess what? You're going to get treated like a robot.
When you talk like that, it reminds me of Larry Siebert.
Oh yeah. Larry's the freaking master.
Yeah.
People call Larry between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Larry is like the king.
Yeah.
All hail Larry.
Built it up over time.
He has built an unbelievable network of people who not only love him for his real estate expertise, they love him as a person.
Yeah.
They believe what he believes.
Yep.
And as a result, they only want to work on Larry's schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. All right. My last one, because you brought up robots. What do you think? This is an awesome one asking you. What do you think about AI and how it's going to impact the business over short and long term? It's actually an interesting question, because that came from a different agent that I had a conversation.
Maybe I should just ask you the question and you answer it.
So I did have a conversation with an agent who was talking to me about, come on.
Lights just got turned on. No, they probably, it's because their lights are out. Moment as we pause for lighting. That's awesome. Does it really make that much of a difference? Do you think we just got super brighter?
Awful.
Oh, okay.
If you watch the end of our last one, when somebody turned it on, we kept going. Gross.
Oh, my acne was just popping in that bad light.
That's right. Okay. So the question I had from an agent, this is different. I had an agent that was talking to me about utilizing AI, how to utilize AI, where I thought they should be using AI. This question came from another agent asking, what do we think about AI and its long-term and short-term effect on our business? And I don't know, people might not totally like it or agree with it, but I think if you don't learn to use it, you're going to be falling behind. I think that it just has so many implications in our business that an agent can use it. And I'm not talking just specifically about like creating content, because I think you have to be careful with creating content with AI, because it just becomes part of the noise. It's not you, it's, but the fact is there are so many things coming out now that agents can start to utilize AI in. And we're talking about even just as simple as we had an agent just the other day asking about, how can I put furniture in this house? That's all coming. It's there. I've used it before, but
yeah. So like that, just specifically to that, like the concept of like paying a company to do digital staging for photos, like that's going to be gone within 12 months. Like it's all going to just be available at the click of our mouse. It's going to get built into programs that we already have. Yep. And so it'll literally be at some point a part of the suite of products.
Well, if you look already, you have to be careful when you're uploading images now on Paragon.
Yeah.
There's a button at the top that if you don't uncheck it, they use AI to build descriptions and titles.
And right now they're god awful.
They're really bad.
But like any technology, like anything when you start, it's terrible, but it gets worked out by all the geniuses on the internet, and eventually it's going to be good.
It will be good. Right now it's not great. But so, I mean, my personal opinion is if agents don't learn to somehow use it, I think you're going to have agents that are going to be doing things better than you or faster than you or more efficiently.
I think it's more, so it's a conversation of speed and efficiency.
Yeah.
Speed and efficiency leads to revenue. And I mean, I think in many ways we've been here before. Like if we just go back, 25 years into the 90s, like I started this in 2003. So, when I got in 2003, even the internet, believe it or not, was not fully utilized in the real estate.
What was the thing we used to call? We used to have MLS Link or but
that was still an internet tool. Like there was so in the late 90s, early 2000s, people were still the MLS books of all of the MLS.
You weren't around when the books were still here.
The books were still getting printed.
I was in 06.
The books were still getting printed when I started in 2003.
Interesting.
100%. Ask Gary Dirksen,
I know
those guys still had the books on their desk when I started. Now, the world had moved to the internet and we had an MLS system on the internet, but there were still agents hanging on to the old way of doing things. Now, what happens in those scenarios is you get early adapters who jump on right away, and you get the, what's it called, the laggards or the late comers. Eventually, everybody gets, what was that?
I have no idea what that was.
Something beeped. But eventually everybody is forced to change. Now, in that time of change, let's call that window of time, it was probably like 7 or 8 years, right? It started in 99, 2000, and it's only by, say, 2006 that everyone is just forced to change. In that time, the agents that jumped on quicker got more efficient, and the trickle-down effect on their businesses was just faster than the agents that didn't. And then we can take the same conversation with social media, right? And other things. So we're in another one of these moments where it's like a disruption, right? And we're early on in the disruption, and there's a certain percentage of people, like, I mean, you just imagine, not picking on anybody, but imagine somebody who's been in the business for 40 years and they've already gone through all these other changes, and they're looking at their career going like, screw this.
They probably don't care.
I'm not doing this. Right. And then eventually, like, there's a percentage of people that will just never embrace it. And in the next, 10, 15 years, whatever, they're out of the business and they never touched it. The tougher group, actually. So for this AI thing, like, I'm actually in the tough group. I'm the middle-aged. I've experienced some success. I don't need this shit, whatever. But like, if I plan on being around for the next 15, 20 years, like, I better figure it out. The newbies, like, they're new. They got their head wrapped around this stuff. No problem. They just jump in, right? And those are the people that will surpass people like me in the next 10 years, because there'll be some people like me who don't buy in. And they just don't do it. So I think it's efficiency and speed, which is the main, that's the main component. We're going to be able to accomplish things that used to take this much time, and now it takes this much time. It's going to help us with administrative tasks that we used to have to hire administrators to do, or hire assistants. And like, a lot of stuff's going to get knocked off by the AI world. Am I answering the question? I don't even remember.
I think you're well, it was just the short-term and long-term effect of it. I think you're right. I think the one thing the agents just have to be careful of is to not get, I don't want to say lost, but like, our business is still a people business. And so like, you have to have you as part of whatever you're doing. And I think what I've seen from a lot of people that are trying to utilize AI is it's becoming less of them. It's becoming more robotic.
Yeah. So the counter argument, I will say, is we are still, and this is not, I have seen no evidence, and this is not me being a protectionist of our industry. I think I'm very measured in my analysis of this. We are still in a relationship business. I do not believe that our business is under threat in the same way that some people believe it's under threat. However, the way we do business is under threat. And if we don't adapt, then there could be some agents that get left behind in their practices. But this is a relationship business. So we can have all the tech and tools and AI in the world. At the end of the day, what do we know? We know that our clients transact with us because they know, love, and trust us. Or at least that is what we should be aiming towards. So the more we digitize and automate our systems and utilize AI, if we're stripping out who we are and our personalities and personal connection from our people, you are stripping out the very thing that is a differentiator between you and your competitor. It is more important now, like more than ever, to have your personality, your opinion, your voice, your personal connection come through to your people. So don't get lost in the AI world, losing you and your connection with your people.
Yep. I think that's exactly what I'm saying too. I think we're on the same page for that. So I think it's a great tool, amazing tool. And I'm excited for some of the things you can do with it.
Yeah. And I don't even have my head fully wrapped around all of, like, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I'm not an early adapter.
No, your assistant is.
I'm friends with people who are early adapters. But I've come a long way. Like, I know what I was like, you know, even 10 years ago.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh, I was archaic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you held on to that archaicness for a while.
Totally. I was proud of that.
You really were.
Yeah. So I've changed over time. We can all change. And the thing that I love, I mean, I don't like new toys and new gadgets. I don't even like to switch my phone, for crying out loud. But what gets me, if I can use the term turned on, really turned on, is efficiency. I love efficiency. So that's the piece when I see these things and I go, okay, now I can do this and I can do that better. And this doesn't take
it frees you up to do the relationship stuff.
I mean, like, even like, so like if I go back 10 years and I look at how I produced client communications or whatever, if you took a picture of it then and a picture of it now, the time that it takes to do this stuff. Because I use AI now. Is it my words? Yeah, it's my words. But like, when you get your account and your program learns you over time, it learns more and more how to talk like you. You can put in the key words, key ideas, and say, write this many characters, this many paragraphs on this. And so that's how I use it. We spit it in, something comes out, and then I tweak it. So rather than starting from nothing and telling the robot to tweak it, I put in a few little things, get the robot to talk, and now I take the robot language and
call it the robot.
Oh, it's definitely a robot. The robots are coming to kill us.
It's built into Google now. Like
before long, the robots will own us.
When you write an email now, you write your own words briefly, hit Alt-H on your computer, and you'll get polish, and it just cleans it up. I like that. To me is awesome, and it just makes it.
I can put together, like, so, whatever. Take this the right way. This isn't me saying anybody can do this, but like, now the time in for a email, I'm not joking. Like, I can get a 2-paragraph or 1-paragraph quick snippet done in minutes, literally minutes. What do I want to talk about? Okay. I want to talk about you to go like, okay, I want to touch on the Bank of Canada interest rates. I want to talk about opportunity in the market and the fluctuations we've seen in the first 3 months. Okay. Those are the data point ideas. Boom, into the AI, say it from my perspective, from a point of opportunity, whatever. Robot shoots it back. I go, okay, I kind of like that, but now I want to make it mine, put my own words in, put my language in, edit, boom, done. There it is. Literally 20 minutes. I used to stew over stuff for hours.
You spin in circles trying to think.
I don't like the way that sounds. I want to say it this way. It's so much faster, and it's still my language.
Sweet. All right.
That's it?
Yeah, I got to deal with a
you got an emergency.
I got to deal with an issue in one of our
systems
offices.
down in. Okay, so we'll do this more often as we move
got
through the
office
spring.
meetings. Make sure you're there in person. We will have one of them on Zoom, but they need in person's better.
Giddy up. See you soon.